Welcome to the Two Girls and Plants podcast with your hosts, Shannon Summers and Adrian Craig. This is a casual, fun show to talk about all things health, whole foods plant-based, and making nourishing lifestyle changes. Your hosts will explore a variety of benefits that can be found with plants, both inside and out. Shannon and Adrian will teach you how to advocate for your health with courage, confidence, and a little laughter. You'll leave empowered with natural and sustainable options to set you up for success in discovering your bio-individuality. The Two Girls and Plants podcast starts now.
Well, hello. Welcome to Two Girls and Plants. I'm Adrian Craig, and I'm here with my friend and co-host, Shannon Summers. Our passion is helping people live healthy and rewarding lives. We're here to help you nourish yourself inside and out. So today we're going to discuss 3 A's of health. We're going to learn about the benefits of adaptogens, which are plants that are used in healing the body. We're going to speak specifically about the adaptogen ashwagandha, and we're also going to talk about good adrenal health. So all 3 of these A's relate to a healthy immune system. They relate to regulating and stabilizing physiological processes, and they also help regulate our response to stress and improve mood. So it's very interesting how they all work together, and they all start with A. So this is something that all of us can benefit from in our daily lives. And I just want to say hello to Shannon and our special guest today, Dr. Brook Sheehan. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great to have you here, Dr. Brook. I just want to take a quick second to introduce you to Dr. Brook a little more. So she's a fellow podcaster with us, and she is also the chiropractor extraordinaire with Cardiff Health and Wellness out in California. And she works with entrepreneurs, high achievers, the people who help support them. And it basically helps them in their lives to, be the best version of themselves with regard to their physical health, their spiritual health, their mental and emotional health. So welcome. It's again great to have you here with us, and excited to learn from you today about the 3 A's and how they work together.
Thank you. I am going to later on in the episode, so this is just me sharing early on, but I'm going to throw another A at you when we do start talking about this. So there'll be 3 A's plus a little bonus thing to be mindful of.
Great. So, we're lucky to have you here because we get to kind of learn from you today as well ourselves. Can you, for people who may not know, can you explain what an adaptogen is and how it works?
Yeah, so adaptogens are something that help, like let's say Adrian mentioned the adrenal glands. So if your adrenal glands are functioning too high, meaning they're producing so much of that stress hormone cortisol, adaptogens will help bring those levels down to bring them back into balance. But let's say the adrenal glands are under functioning. They're not producing enough cortisol. You're not able to wake up in the morning, because when you wake up in the morning, your levels of cortisol should be high, and it should taper off throughout the day to help you get to sleep. Well, if your adrenals are low functioning, you're going to be waking up really fatigued and tired, feeling like you got hit by a train. So adaptogens, ashwagandha, we're going to be talking about that more specifically, but that will also help the adrenal glands bring them back up to healthy function. So they're either bringing it back down or bringing it up to healthy function to help balance out whatever gland or hormone or molecule or whatever the body is needing in that sense to do its job appropriately or better, right?
Yeah. And, I was doing some research and I saw that adaptogens, as well as I believe ashwagandha. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but those things have really come out of, like many other things that are becoming mainstream today, ancient Chinese medicine,
Yes.
Ayurvedic medicine,
Yes.
and they're kind of making their way over to, Western medicine and Western healthcare.
You're absolutely right, Adrian. It's so interesting how even in traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, as it's commonly referred to, or Ayurvedic medicine, like you said, these are things that have been part of these Eastern cultures for thousands of years. This is not something new to them, and here in the United States, we go, oh my gosh, did you get your acai, or did you get your ashwagandha? Or, we get so excited about these things. We're on these like fad diet kicks, and they're looking at us like, are you serious? So funny, but yes, you're absolutely right.
It's like we're still working our way through high school and they've been in college,
Yes.
doctorates by now going on, and we're trying to catch up here.
Right. Right. Exactly. Absolutely.
So, Shannon, do you have anything you want to ask before I go on, or?
Yeah, I quickly wanted to ask, you kind of covered a little bit of what adrenal fatigue, some symptoms of that. What if you're on the other end of the spectrum? What would those symptoms look like?
You mean with too high cortisol?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
gosh. The symptoms can vary way across the board. So with elevated levels of cortisol, you could experience a lot of joint pain because cortisol weakens ligaments. So you can, all the ligaments in your hands, feet, hips, every single joint, shoulder, elbows, all of that. You can experience, even in the spine, there's a lot of joints. So you can experience joint pain. You can experience a lot of just overall general like muscle pain. You can experience just bad posture, your shoulders being rolled in because you're in what we call a high sympathetic state. So some people may not know what the sympathetic nervous system is, but you might hear people talk about the fight or flight response. Your fight or flight response, you need to spend more time in rest and digest, in meditation, in calming that. So a big, huge sign of sympathetic or fight or flight dominance of the nervous system is this rolled in, flexion type posture where you're kind of rolled over. So you see things like that. You see, hair loss. You see, things like little minute things that shouldn't make you so angry or so upset can really throw you off, right? Emotionally and mentally. And so those are all typical signs of high stress response.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's definitely a lot. And I actually think that we see more of that than we do the low, adrenal function. Although sometimes what ends up happening, if you think about it, is if your adrenals are constantly getting revved up here at this level, like your car, if you're running your car to the max it can go, eventually it's going to burn out. So you end up with something called adrenal exhaustion. And that causes another huge host of other syndromes and symptoms and things that people face, I think that the amount of people that experience that to that level of chronicity, it's low in comparison, because a lot of people are now realizing how important this is and really trying to taper this off before they need lifetime medication in order to get their adrenals functioning again.
Okay.
So, but yes, it's definitely a lot of things that happen with that revved up system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, going back to adaptogens for just a minute. So I know that there's a variety of adaptogens.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they all have kind of different functions, or maybe they work in different parts of the body.
Yeah.
Now, are there benefits, or are multiple adaptogens ever used together? Do they kind of stay separate when they're being used to help people with their health conditions or health goals?
Yeah. So one of my big foundational truths about health, and Adrian, this is something that is that, we in our finite thinking, in our brains, we think we have all of the answers. Our adrenals are a shot. We need all of this. We need to take. And in this endeavor to try to throw so much at the body, in the body, around the body, we almost cause more harm than good. And instead of like taking a step back, truly pausing, truly like intently trying to listen to what the body is saying, we go overboard. And so to answer that question in a way that's not encouraging the audience just to go out and get everything they need, every adaptogen off the shelf and every elixir that man-made or that mankind has made, just keep in mind that yes, they should be separated. This is not supplements that you're popping 6 different pills in your throat or putting down your throat and, swallowing with a big gulp of water. You have to be very mindful on how you approach this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yes, I have definitely seen that in my own life and in my own healthcare. So
Yeah.
Definitely resonating. So let's talk about ashwagandha specifically.
Okay. So, and this is where that 4th A is going to come in. So ashwagandha is actually, so let's talk about first, right? We briefly mentioned in the beginning, ashwagandha is great for handling adrenal stress, but it also has properties that can help with balancing out your blood sugar. So anybody who might, be considered pre-diabetic or on the diabetic scale already, ashwagandha can help really benefit their blood sugar fluctuations. So there's also some new research, and this is not fully come out with human beings because, a lot of the research is done on animals and different things prior, but it also has properties to be able to help with cell apoptosis, which means the cell has reached its end of its lifespan and it needs to die off, right? So apoptosis is that mechanism within the cell that says, all right, I'm done. And apoptosis helps like reduce or, eliminate chances of cancer. And so if we have proper apoptosis happening in our cells, we don't end up with these cells that are old and not dying off and like should be dying off, but aren't. And then they're causing havoc to all the other cells around them. So ashwagandha can help with that. It also obviously reduces cortisol levels we spoke about, which helps with stress and anxiety. One of the things too for men, I know this is 2 Girls and Plants, but if there is any male listeners, it can help with testosterone levels. And of course, as females, we have testosterone levels too, just not as high as in our male counterparts, but it also helps with fertility for men. It also, may increase like muscle mass and strength. So I mentioned, stress will like, or high cortisol levels can help like weaken muscles, weaken ligaments, do all that, but it also decreases inflammation. So I didn't want to get too, but I feel like those are really big things that people, in today's day and age struggle with. We struggle with, chronic inflammation. We struggle with high stress and anxiety, especially in the times that we live in. There are more people dealing with fertility issues. There are all these things going on that ashwagandha could be a simple solution if it is something that your body is actually seeking.
So is ashwagandha one of those, does it help with the chronic inflammation?
It does. It does help with chronic inflammation. Another herb for that would be curcumin or turmeric, commonly known as turmeric. Curcumin is the curcuoids is what is in turmeric. So curcumin is the derivative of turmeric, so the body doesn't have to break down turmeric into the curcumin if you take it as the curcumin version of the turmeric. So you're just eliminating steps in the breakdown process.
Okay.
One caveat, And here's my fourth A. So yes, cortisol weakens ligaments in our joints, but people who have any sort of arthritis, so this could be osteoarthritis, which is just commonly happens, with the bones, just kind of the joints becoming smaller and smaller as we age. But things like autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis and like other joint conditions, ashwagandha is actually part of a family called the nightshade family. These are things like tomatoes, peppers, goji berries. Gosh, now I'm like going blank, but there's a lot of different nightshades. You can definitely look up what foods are in the nightshade family. Primarily, it is the tomatoes, peppers, those kind of things, cayenne peppers. Those are actually triggers for arthritis. So again, I'm giving really great benefits to ashwagandha that might make somebody, listening want to go out and go get some, but you have to really take into those factors that while it may be good on the surface, it may not be right for you. And so, yeah, just be mindful of ashwagandha and arthritis.
I'm so glad you pointed that out, Dr. Brook, because one of the questions I was going to ask you was like, are there any particular health conditions or any types of medications people may be using where they shouldn't be utilizing ashwagandha? Right.
Yep. And that's the big one. So obviously, or most of the time, people with arthritis conditions are just taking your over-the-counter NSAIDs, your non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. But, of course, if it is more autoimmune driven, like RA, they can be taking other things. And so in that case, like ashwagandha would be an absolute no-no. And of course, anybody with arthritis doesn't want to continue having to take cortisone shots or, taking over-the-counter drugs if they don't have to. So the benefits of ashwagandha don't outweigh the problems that could occur if you're getting big, huge inflammation flare-ups from your arthritis by taking it.
Mm-hmm. So if someone, a listener, whatever, would go out and think, well, I'm going to try it. I'm going to listen to my body, see if there's any change, positive or negative. What kind of side effects should they watch for in case it's saying your body's saying, or their body's saying it's not good for them? Is there anything they should watch out for?
I don't know if there's specifically one exact thing to watch out for. Again, with supplementation, it's really, it comes back down to the dosing. So of course, you can go to the drugstore or even to the grocery store. The grocery store now, is trying to get into the supplement business, and they have all sorts of things that they, have nobody there to help you in the aisle. Like, first off, to make any sort of you're making educated guesses in that sense. But anyways, like the dosing on the bottle, doesn't really factor in the individuality of all of us, so it could be a 6'6", 300-pound person and they need 2 tablets twice a day. And it could be a 5 foot, 100-pound woman and she needs two pills twice a day. And so I think that really starting out small, so going to the lowest variable number and then just kind of shifting every couple days, and then seeing if there's anything, hey, am I noticing a decrease in my stress? Am I noticing these kind of things? To answer your question, Shannon, like negative effects could be those feelings of like, man, all of a sudden I never had knee pain before. I'm waking up and like my knees are hurting. I would say from that point on, like, to back off completely, like that, like your body's is saying that there's something wrong. Okay. So yeah.
So even though it's something you can pick up at the grocery store and you can experiment, then it's probably best to work with somebody in the medical field of some sort in order to get the help they need so that those things can be monitored and more knowledge is brought into just saying, oh, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's something that I do. I do that type of work. I help people, put together, if they're going to put together any type of nutritional plan, if they're trying to, try all these different supplements. One of the stories I mentioned in the very beginning of my podcast, when I started doing it back in April, was, a story of I was taking everything under the sun because I was listening to every health guru across the board. So it was like, anybody that I saw on the news, anybody that I heard in a podcast or a health summit, or, somebody's blog that I read online that told me about this. And I must have had a bag of like 15 to 20 different things that I was taking. And I went and saw the practitioner who is now my mentor doc and has taught me, a lot of what I know on how to get good readings on the body and what the body is speaking and saying. But through all of those supplements that I was taking, I needed one, and I wasn't even taking the correct dose that I needed in that moment of time. So it was like, I was taking too little of something. And that's why I mentioned, Shannon, in the other question about, how to decide. It's like, I say, start at the lowest dose, but continue to up that dose every few days. I wasn't doing that. So I was taking the dose on the bottle, but my body needed something different. So it was like not even enough for my body to recognize. So it was just kind of sitting in this neutral position. I would take the supplement, religiously, but it wasn't doing anything good. In this case, it wasn't doing anything bad either, because it was just kind of in this period. But, I wasn't getting the benefits of spending the money on a supplement and not getting the benefits of it. It doesn't make sense. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I just want to confirm real quick. So for ashwagandha, I know there's a lot of products out there that include it as an ingredient, but it's really a supplement. When I was looking into it, I mean, it basically said like you could take it with milk, very similar to turmeric, which you also mentioned.
Yeah.
So I just want to confirm it's primarily a supplement, and then there are some manufacturers who are using that supplement and adding it into some of their products.
Absolutely. Yes, Adrian, that's correct. It is a supplement primarily. And then it's, sometimes you can find it as like a grounded up powder, like you were saying, and people using it. There's been a big, huge, at least in the health and wellness field, most people in this field would know about like golden milk tea. And, it's like that anti-inflammatory golden milk tea. It's like turmeric and all of these great benefits that you can actually add, like maybe a teaspoon of ashwagandha powder to that to add some of those benefits. Turmeric and ashwagandha can go together. They're not enemies. But yeah, those two can be placed together. So you can buy it as a powder, but primarily it's not a dietary food source, I guess is the better way of saying it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we just have a couple minutes left, so I do want to give you the opportunity to let people know how they can reach you. And I know, you offer telehealth sessions. So how can people find you?
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. So people can find me at Dr. Brook Sheehan. I do have to mention my name does not have an E at the end. So some people might get mixed up and do Brooke, but it's just Dr. DRBROOK SHEEHAN.com. They can connect with me there, find out all about the different services that I offer on the website. Telehealth is by far, I personally have a lot of fun with it because it's just really cool to kind of see what shows up for the body in those particular testing sessions and how it correlates to like what the patient is actually experiencing. But I can read, I do read lab work. I do put these supplement plans together for people that are very individualized and personalized to them. When you get to understanding how to read the body, you understand what it's saying and you can communicate with it. So that it makes my work a lot of fun. So yeah.
Yes. Excellent. So we just want to thank all our listeners for joining us today. I want to thank Dr. Brook for being here. And If you missed the show, you can catch the replay on any of your favorite podcast stations. We're here with you every second and fourth Friday of the month at 12 p.m. Eastern. I always do that, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. I can never get Eastern out of my brain. And we want you to remember that life can be nourishing inside and out.
Thank you for joining Shannon and Adrian on the Two Girls and Plants podcast, where you're finding nourishment inside and out. You're invited to continue finding empowerment with natural and sustainable options every second and fourth Friday of the month at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. To learn more or find out how to work with Shannon and Adrian, visit twogirlsandplants.com.